so many different presentations. And they'll be looking for something unique about you. And I really believe the more I study your company, Card Service International is unique. And because of that, I think that we not only have to be more professional in the way we do business, but I think that they have to have something that tells them that you're the right person to serve their needs, that you have a strong support team and company backing up what you say. Now, when you leave the meeting, again, let's say this is the second or third meeting, I still want you to send another thank you note. I cannot impress the importance of these little handwritten thank you notes. I mean, I don't have time in this entire program to tell you over the years what it's done to my career. I can remember people calling me, and I had fierce competition at this point, and saying, Tom, we've chosen you to represent us, primarily because you're the only one that every time we had a meeting, you've taken the time and the effort to send us a little handwritten thank you note. That means a lot to us. See, I've said this before. The more our world becomes impersonal, the more we get into shopping on the internet and all the wonderful information age we're in, the little personal things make such a difference. So if it's the second or third meeting, again, get creative. Don't send exactly the same thank you note, but send them another little note. Doesn't need to be more than 10 or 12 words, thanking them for taking their time to discuss the opportunity of letting you at Card Service International help them grow their business. Now, you also, in the second or third meeting, you may have to be prepared to bring in another member of your team, especially if your research shows that they have got a real unique situation. They need special type of technical services. Well, if you're not an expert in that area, boy, is it impressive to bring in the expert as a third party into this discussion, okay? Now, if the decision makers have technical questions, get the answers for your own knowledge, of course, but then bring that expert in with you. And, of course, introduce them as the person specializing in this area of the company. This will not only be impressive, but, again, add more power to your presentation. Also, expect them to want information in a manner you haven't had to provide before. Be open-minded about how to handle them. In fact, here's a rule of thumb, very important. You have to handle them the way they want to be handled. And they'll tell you exactly what that is if you ask the right questions and listen to their answers. Now, if they're making a comparison between you and the competition, don't hesitate to ask how they want information provided so that they can prepare apples to apples. Say, you want to know what the competition is presenting to them. They may present something different, and automatically they feel, well, we're going to save money with the other company. May not be true. It's got to be apples to apples. You must send the information based on the way the competition is presenting. Does that make any sense? All right. You also have to be ready for this now. They may have one person at the table. Here's 3 decision makers. This person is a bottom line tough guy. All he cares about is the money. He may have gotten one figure over a telephone. And all of a sudden he says, you know, I think we can get services just like this cheaper somewhere else. Now, we have covered the phraseology to that area of concern. Make sure you review it. Make sure you're ready for it, because you're going to probably hear it at this meeting. So you'll have to address the concern while building the value of the unparalleled service provided by Card Service, okay? Again, educate them to understand that they're not buying a rate. They're getting involved with a service that can handle all of their locations equally well. The little yet important things to remember with large or multiple sale accounts is that you must return phone calls within 24 hours or less. These people demand it. The reason they've built their business to this size is they are fanatics about details. So you must become one. So you'll grow to handle the type of people that you become. So all the things I'm teaching you make you worthy of this type of business, you see. They'll expect you to know what's going on with their accounts. They'll expect you to know the names of the contact person in each location. In other words, you'll become a member of their team. And that's the relationship you should have. That's why when you meet a person in the company at a different location, you make sure you write their name down. And you rehearse that, so when you have a chance to use their name when you meet them or talk about them, you remember exactly who they are. Now, many of the people involved with the larger companies will appreciate these, again, handwritten notes. If there's 10 locations and you go meet all 10 managers, take the time. Send them the thank you notes. It'll come back 100-fold over the years, I promise you. Also, don't be afraid of saying, today, this one account, I'm going to call every one of the managers in every location with just nothing more than a hi, how are you doing phone call. You see, they love to hear that you're keeping them abreast of what's happening in the industry, you care about them, because you'll have to prove that you'll provide a high level of service before that sale can be closed. With this type of account, there's one other thing you've got to remember. You can have layers of management in a company that's this large, and the person who is making the decision to choose you, their job can be in jeopardy if they make the wrong decision and it costs the company money and the person above them feels they made a mistake. This is why, don't ever forget this. Find the pecking order in the company. That means you should know who's here, who's here, who's here, so that you don't either go above the person and upset that person, or your goal is to make this person not only feel so good with what you're going to do for them, that their job is enhanced and more secure because they chose Card Service International. Does that make any sense? And boy, if you ever sense that, don't be afraid to say, you know, John, I really kind of feel, based on everything I've seen in your company, that you really are wanting to grow and achieve more in your own life. Is that right? You bet it is. Well, see, that's one of the things I want to do. I want to make you look good. I want the people in accounting to see that you're watching company dollars. I want you to be able to go into the meetings when they say, this guy really made a great decision by choosing Card Service International. That's one of my goals. We'll make that happen. That is music to his ears. All right? Now, let's show you how you can make all of this work. Watch this role play. Watch it.
Mr. Anderson's office, this is Sarah. How may I help you?
Good morning, Sarah. My name is Tom Hopkins. I need to speak with Mr. Anderson. Would you please put me through to him?
May I tell him what the call is regarding, Mr. Hopkins?
I'd like to talk with him about some ways Andy's Toy Box can increase their overall sales volume by offering additional services to your clients at all of your locations.
I'm afraid Mr. Anderson is not available at the moment. May I take your number and have him return the call?
I'm in and out a good bit during the day. When would be the best time for me to call him back? Would just after lunch or later in the day be better?
I can't really say. Was there something you can send us in the mail?
Sarah, I really need your help. If you knew of a way to increase the amount of nearly every purchase made by your store's customers, wouldn't you want to bring it to the attention of Mr. Anderson?
Well, yes. Well, let me see if he's available.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Hello, Gene Anderson.
Good morning, Mr. Anderson. This is Tom Hopkins with Card Service International, and thank you for your time.
Oh, sure, Mr. Hopkins. What can I do for you?
The reason I'm calling is that I recently visited one of your Andy's Toy Box stores and noticed you don't accept credit cards. And I was curious, why is that?
Well, we've checked into it with our bank and decided it wasn't something we wanted to do at this time. We'll be adding those services down the road a bit.
Chances are good when you hear this. It's because they were declined by their bank for a merchant account. Assume things have changed for them, but realize they still have a fear factor in not wanting to be rejected again. And this is the type of company that we just love. I see. Then you do recognize the value of offering credit and debit card convenience to your customers, but found it just wasn't feasible. When was it that you last applied for a merchant account?
Oh, it was about 9 months ago when we opened our first location.
I'm certain things have changed a bit since then, and may I ask when you think you might be interested in adding these additional services for your customers?
Well, maybe in another 6 months or so, once we've gotten off the ground a little better.
What if I could show you a way to offer these services starting in just a few days? Would you be interested to know more?
Well, probably. Look, why don't you just send me something in the mail?
I'd be happy to. However, Mr. Anderson, I think you should know that Card Service has the highest rate of acceptance of new merchant accounts of any transaction provider.
Really? Well, what are your rates?
The rates vary depending upon the services and equipment you choose. We're actually pretty flexible. I'm confident we can come up with a solution that would meet your particular needs. Now, I'm going to be in your area this afternoon. How about if I pop by and drop off the information to you, and that way, if you have any questions, I can answer them on the spot for you. I can be there around 2, or would 4 be better for you?
Well, I'm not quite certain how my afternoon is going to shake out yet. How much time are you going to need to give me that information?
Well, that depends on the number of questions you have. I can be very brief, and I'll come prepared to talk about your specific needs and have just the information you need, okay?
Okay. Well, let's meet at 4 o'clock.
Well, 4 it is. And by the way, will there be anyone else involved in making the final decision? At this point, they'll either say yes or no. If the answer is no, then you can, of course, end the call. If they say yes, my partner would be involved, you should say, then let's be sure he's there with us at 4 o'clock. Or he might say,
no, I make all the final decisions here. I'll see you then.
Well, thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
So, Gene, can you see how feasible it is and how much sense it makes for Andy's Toy Box to apply for a merchant account at this time?
Well, I can see how we're in a better position than I thought to get a merchant account. I think I can get it cheaper at my bank, though.
You know, Gene, I've learned something over the years. Most companies look for 3 things when they invest money. They look for the finest quality, the best service, and, of course, the lowest investment. I've also found that no company can offer all 3. They can't offer the finest quality, the best service, for the lowest investment. And I'm curious, for your long-term success here at Andy's Toy Box, which of the 3 would you be most willing to give up? Fine quality, excellent service, or the lowest investment?
Well, of course, quality and service are not optional when you're growing a business. I mean, we need all the help we can get. So I guess the investment area is where we'll have to make the adjustments. Look, I just don't know, Tom. We're small but growing, and we're trying to reinvest as much as possible into our expansion to become competitive in this field. I think I'm going to have to stick with my plan to wait it out another few months and then get involved in these services.
Sure. Gene, please realize that many of your competitors are facing the same challenges today that you are. Isn't it interesting when an entire industry is fighting the same forces? Some companies do a better job of meeting those challenges than others.
Well, yes. And in this industry, we're the underdog, just struggling to get recognition.
You see, my entire objective here today has been to provide you with a method of gaining a competitive edge. And gaining edges, large or small, is how you can make yours one of those few companies in your industry that is doing a better job. And that's what you'd like, isn't it?
Well, I guess you're right, Tom. I need to keep my focus on what's going to bring the customers back. And convenience is one of those things.
Great, Gene. So what is the legal name of your business?
Well, it's Andy's Toy Box Incorporated.
Did you notice that was our first minor closing question? Now we are on our paperwork. Now we've got 6 that are used by some of the top producers in Card Service International. And we really want you to choose the ones that work best for you. Let's go through them. Gene, when is the best time for installation and training? Or you might try this one. Gene, I'll need a voided check to ensure proper deposit of your funds. When he goes for that, as you know, you've now closed the transaction. Or try this one. Gene, this is the information that we need to get your account set up. Now, if he immediately grabs the pen and starts filling out what we need, again, you've closed the transaction. Or try this one. Gene, how many people will we need to train in the company? When he responds, we move on to the paperwork. Or try this one. Gene, what is your average ticket and monthly volume? And again, we move on to paperwork. And you already heard this one, but it's so important you practice it. Gene, what is the legal name of your business? And you have closed the transaction. Let me conclude this session by saying that